You back now to Johannesburg, to where I'm sitting. Tom Wheeler from the SA Institute of International Affairs also been watching this closely. Mr. Wheeler, always a pleasure having you in.
Thank you.
What does America now do with this? Of course, there's protests in support of Snowden, but obviously he's upset the Americans tremendously. What do they do? How do they handle this?
Well, this is very tricky because even in the debate in the US Congress, there are very sharp divisions about this, largely on party lines. One side says, well, this is part of national security. We need to know what people are doing that might undermine our national security. The other side saying this is an invasion of civil liberties. So even within the American political establishment, there's no agreement on how to proceed or whether this was desirable or not desirable, that this has been exposed, what has been happening here.
Those in Hong Kong are calling for protection for Edward Snowden. Between the two nations, between the US and obviously Hong Kong and its country, where do they lie as far as their relationship is concerned? How much damage can something like this cause?
Well, I'm not entirely sure of how the international relations of Hong Kong are conducted. Of course, they're part of the People's Republic of China, and presumably Beijing will decide what happens here, and Beijing will have to decide whether whether the relationship with the United States will be badly affected if they refuse to extradite him. And so we'll have to see what happens there. It seems from what John Bailey said that maybe he would be extradited, because that's in the greater interests of the relationship between the two countries. And we've just had a meeting between Barack Obama and the President of China in California and so on. So they're obviously working on relations. They might not consider it worth their while to give protection to this man if it is going to harm the relationship.
Why do you think we're seeing more of these whistleblowers? Julian Assange still holed up in an embassy, now Edward Snowden as well. Why do you think we're seeing more and more of these people coming out and going, we think, they're deciding what is important for the world to know?
Well, there's actually a third one that people have overlooked, and that's the so-called Pentagon Papers during the Vietnam War, when somebody working in the Pentagon provided the media with documents about the conduct of the Vietnam War. I think his name is Bernstein. And he, so this is something that happens from time to time, and it's a sense that the people should know what is going on here, that an organization like the National Security Agency, which is essentially an eavesdropping organization, which focuses mainly on foreign things, is now extending it further as more electronic things like Google and all these various mechanisms are there that can be tapped into. I'll give you an example. When I was stationed in the South African Embassy in Washington, an American official came to our embassy and spoke to the ambassador and gave him certain information and said, please do not send this by telegram back to Pretoria. The implication was the American authorities would pick it up. So this is nothing new. It's only that it's now being targeted in a sense on American citizens as well. This vast amount of information that passes through the electronic media, whether it's telephones or emails and so on, and I expect it's all done by keywords. You say terrorism, or you say plot, or you say, and that
and
pops
you're going to get picked up immediately.
Yeah, whereas all the other junk that goes through every day is just ignored.
Well, Tom, as always, a huge pleasure to have you in giving us your expert opinion on this. Tom Wheeler from the SA Institute of International Affairs and his thoughts on Edward Snowden currently in China.
News that moves. eNCA.com.